Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Prince.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks, coming to you as always from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, brought to you, of course, by our good friends, the Bamboozle Project. We encourage you to check them out. Plenty of summer gear to hit the season right, especially with the heat wave we've got going on here on the East Coast. You can go to thebamboozleproject.com, and when you get to checkout, make sure you type in those four magical letters, MYPB. Use it in that order. Doesn't have to be capitals. Just make sure you use MYPB and save yourself 20% off your total order. We thank DraftKings as well for their sponsorship of the show. This is episode 160, Ciento Sesenta. I didn't say that right. Ciento Sesenta would be my guess.
You weren't prepared for the Spanish dial?
I'm never prepared. I just read it. Sesenta. Ciento Sesenta.
Yeah, Ciento Sesenta.
There we go. 160 MYPB episodes. You can send us your questions at any time to mypbshow@gmail.com, where you can DM us on the Instagram platform if you would like. We are always on there. That is for sure. So if you're looking for us, you can find us there. And we do respond to every single DM. We do take pride in that. We try to have a pretty good response rate, but we do respond to everyone with whatever your questions may be. We will respond to that. And you can listen to the show a variety of different ways. If you want to stream it, let's say you're driving somewhere on a weekend trip this summer, you can use any streaming platform like iTunes or Spotify, or if you want to watch the show with some cameras and all that good stuff, you can do so on YouTube as well as Facebook or Instagram Live. And we are on Instagram Live. Yeah. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Had a nice little July 4th. How about you?
I was good. We were away. We were in the Dominican Republic, a place I have not, and I see there's a question right away. How was the DR? So we'll get right to that. DR was good. I've never been. It's interesting. So, like, when I talk positively about the DR, I'm just being honest. You get to where you go, like where you stay, and you don't leave there until you go back to the airport. So if I told you the DR was great, I'm not telling you the DR was great because the country, like, the sightseeing was great and the tours and the downtown area had great restaurants. No, we never left the resort we stayed at. We were there for 6 straight days. It was phenomenal. It probably was the best place we've ever stayed in. If you want to know where it is, you can go on Instagram because there's some pictures, and I think someone asked, and I responded where it was to stay. But it was pretty good. Timing wise, though, for me, like what happened last year, we were in the Bahamas the day of free agency. This year, of course, we were in the DR. So last year was scheduled worse in the sense we flew on July 1st and we landed in the Bahamas at like 11 o'clock and we got through passport control down there, and we were in like a hotel van going to Baja Mar, which is where we stayed. And I was getting all these texts, they signed Jonathan Quick, they signed Nick Bonino and all this stuff. At least this year, July 1st, like we weren't in transit that day. I had the ability to read and react. Nice. The funny thing was there just wasn't a lot to read or react. Right? Like I was prepared. I was like, all right, you know what? Like let's go. Let's see what we got at 12 o'clock. Like I was on my phone waiting. But no, 4th of July was good. So in terms of, and how was yours aside from running out of propane?
Yeah, it was good. So are you a DR veteran? Like, you're like, this is not your first rodeo?
No, that is my first rodeo.
So you went last year?
No, I went to the Bahamas last year. I know nothing about the DR except the place we stayed. Like I'm telling you, I couldn't even tell you that anything. We did not leave the resort for 6 days.
So which was better, last year or this year?
If you told me to compare Baja Mar to where we stayed this year, this year. But yes, definitely this year. But
is that just a resort, not like
it would be a lot of things. So it's a hard question to answer. It's not apples to apples because this year was an all-inclusive. Last year was not. So it's hard to compare when you're paying for something. Right? It's a big factor. That's not apples to apples. But this year was better. Strongly recommend. Like if you're looking for a trip, whether you have kids, whether you're trying to go away with your significant other or whatever it may be, what a great spot. And you can DM us and we'll give you more information. So on the free agency approach, July 1st comes last Monday. As I said, I made sure, like a stupid idiot, the night before in the hotel room, My phone was charged, like ready to go.
Got
I'm
the
not going to miss
Wi-Fi
the
password.
Wi-Fi, which actually was pretty good at the resort, I have to say. And no password necessary, by the way.
Wow.
And so I am ready to react, whatever it may be, to the free agency moves. Now, what people I think are forgetting, because right away within the first hour, maybe 2 hours, I'd say by 2 o'clock last Monday, the feel or the theme for people was that, wow, the Rangers are doing nothing. Is Chris Drury awake? Does he realize that free agency started today? Can someone go wake him up and make sure? Chris Drury had very limited things he could do. If you understand, and I'm not saying this in a condescending way like we understand and you don't, but I'm just saying that if you understand the way that it works with salary caps and contracts coming down the road that need to be addressed and positional needs, there was not a lot Chris Drury was going to do. Now, you saw, and I put this in an Instagram story, when you see Alexander Wenberg, the same Alexander Wenberg that the Rangers traded at the deadline 2 draft picks for to Seattle. When you see him, and I had no problem with them not re-signing Alexander Wenberg because I thought he would cost too much. And if you go back to our show 3 weeks ago, I said, odds are there's probably a GM out there that will overpay for Alexander Wenberg and let them do that. I don't want to be that. Well, then you go see Alexander Wenberg get $5 million a year to go to San Jose. It's exactly my point. Why in the world would you want to be signing someone like Alexander Wenberg or other free agents if that's what the market is at? Steven Stamkos, who was rumored, and I don't really know how true that was, but it was rumored that, hey, maybe he would take a run here on Broadway. Maybe he would want to come here. He's 34 years old, and he gets a 4-year deal in Nashville at a high term per year. I wouldn't want that. So when you look and you step back and you say, okay, let's not look at it just from the Ranger perspective. Let's look at the league-wide and see what the going rate is for those UFAs or unrestricted free agents that happen to be on the market in the summer of 2024 and see what their market value is and what they're getting paid at. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want nothing to do with that. Now, I said this to you guys before that, I think the Rangers, unfortunately, because they play in New York City, it's such a big market, they have such a big fan base, a lot of people will think that, well, whatever the premium free agent is every year has got to be linked to the Rangers, and the Rangers should sign him. This is not 2019, where if you remember, I'll tell you a weird story. I was boarding a plane that day at 12 o'clock for a work trip. 11:51, I was standing at the gate in Newark Airport to go on, and my phone started going ballistic. Rangers are getting Panarin, which was obviously great. I still think he's the best free agent signing in the franchise's history. Don't kill me for saying that. But that wasn't going to happen this year. There wasn't going to be some bona fide star that was going to sign with the team. And as Chris is saying on the YouTube chat, and he's right, no one really fit what they needed. Now, what do they need? Well, again, we've talked about this now for 2 years. They still have not addressed the top line right wing. Was Patrick Kane the answer? Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I don't know that Patrick Kane, to me, I would have been okay if they signed him, but I'm also okay if they didn't. And sometimes, as is being said on Instagram as well in the chat, the best moves are the moves that Drury didn't make. And that's really true. I mean, that's accurate, because if the market is being set at Alexander Wenberg at $5 million and Steven Stamkos at age 34 getting a 4-year deal, I don't really want that on my team. So, and Johnny Lazarus, can I pull this up to go completely off topic? Because I did do some research on this. Johnny Lazarus, who's on, well, everybody knows Johnny Lazarus. I don't even need to say who he is. Everyone knows Johnny. Johnny Lazarus is now playing inline hockey where I play.
You took my spot?
He's not in my division. Johnny's obvious skill set is much higher than me.
Right.
I got a text last night. Well, actually, I was sleeping. I woke up this morning to a text. Johnny Lazarus is making his debut tonight. So what's the first thing I do? I go and I look at the box score, and I believe, if I saw it correctly, Johnny Lazarus scored right away into the game.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to go check it out. I need to see Johnny. I'm there tonight. I have a game tonight. But I will come check out a game for sure. So
nice.
But so for the Rangers, again, I'm not sure really what you wanted them to do. You still have Kako. Obviously, we're going to address the Trouba situation in a minute, and that's not going to be pretty. Now, the one move that they did make, or the one move of some significance, and there is only one move, and I don't know how significant it is, but it should fall under the realm of significance, and that is Riley Smith. And they traded for Pittsburgh. And so the funny thing is that happens that later in the day. Okay. It ends up being a trade with Pittsburgh for a guy who's also 34. Do I like it? No. Do I hate it? No. It's a 1-year deal. What I don't love is I don't love giving up draft picks for a player who's going to be here for a year and he's on the backside of his career. Could it work out? Now, he's a great penalty killer, right? Maybe. It sounds like Drury and the Ranger hierarchy has been high on Riley Smith for a while, and they tried to get him when he was in Vegas. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. But Riley Smith's okay. I mean, could you plug him in maybe in the top 6 and maybe the bottom of the bottom 6 or the third line and be effective and be a player that can do a lot for you? Sure, he could. I mean, I'm not going to go crazy and go order his jersey.
Can I ask you a dumb question? Your dumb question of the day. So, like in other sports, you see teams like developing super teams. Like, I'm going to join this player and we're going to develop a super team.
Can't happen because of salary caps.
Well, I get the salary cap, but like, there's no like player that would want to join the Rangers and take maybe like a price cut.
You know who did that last year?
Yeah,
Blake Wheeler. Blake Wheeler came on a veteran minimum, and we know how that worked out. So, and remember also when you talk about free agents in the offseason, which is what, people are doing. And it seems like it's always, or the conversation the last week is what has happened from July 1st forward. You also have to backtrack the week before when Chris Drury had an addition by subtraction by getting rid of Barclay Goodrow and his money's $3.8 million a year. Right. Yeah. So now some comments from Instagram. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Drury has done the same thing with the big name numbers before. Look where it got us. Now, that is true. And now, so I don't know if that's being said, and that we thank Twin Mom Journey for that. I don't know if that's being said as a negative or a positive, because you could be saying that as a positive and saying, look, he's not going out and doing the same thing, going out, getting big names, giving out big numbers as a positive, or is it insanity because that's what he's been doing and it's not going to change? So, but it seems to me that you agree, because now you're saying made a smart business move and waited, and I would agree with that. Now, you can be happy, you can be unhappy with what you saw with free agency. You cannot in any way, shape, or form be happy with the Jacob Trouba situation. The Jacob Trouba,
wait, but time out.
Yes.
There was an issue, right? People weren't happy. So, like, dive in. Like, how is this not a good situation? Didn't we finagle a way to make ourselves happy?
So, I'm gonna try and tie everything together from a timeline in my vacation. Okay, with Jacob Trouba, at least to start, and then I'll probably go off on a very nasty rant here. But
this is my favorite.
Yeah, we are in the airport last Saturday morning.
Yes.
And I don't remember who had the no, I do remember who had the report. Larry Brooks had come out with a report. And if you know hockey, you don't have to necessarily just be a fan of the Rangers. Larry Brooks, you can love him, you can hate him. Me personally, and not that my opinion matters in this, I fall in the middle. Like, I don't hate the guy, I don't love the guy, but I read his stuff because he does a lot of times have Ranger insight that other people do not. And I think a lot of that may have been through Glenn Sather, who's not there anymore, but that's a different story. We are at the airport. Yes. It is early. It is 7:30 a.m. And it comes out from Larry Brooks, Jacob Trouba. The Rangers have decided to move on from Jacob Trouba. They don't know where he's going to go. The decision has been made. You're not coming back here. Now, Chris Drury, and it's being talked about in the YouTube comment, I see that by Nikolai, is known. One of his things is he holds everything close to his vest, okay? everything. He does not like leaks. He does not like things getting out. Well, somehow something got out here, or the report is completely inaccurate. It's one or the other. And either way, it doesn't really matter to me because now it is already out there. And so Larry Brooks puts out this article that says the Rangers are moving on. I don't know how, but they're moving on. He's not wearing a Ranger sweater again. All right.
Wow.
Now, later in the day, there's again reports, and it's hard with Chris Drury to believe reports because you know that he doesn't like leaks at all. There's reports that maybe he's going to go to Detroit. The Rangers are trying to work on a deal. Jacob Trouba played his college hockey at University of Michigan. It's a place he would go play. Okay. And now you're thinking to yourself, all right, he goes to Detroit. Now, I don't know what they're getting back. I don't know how much of the salary he's retaining. But if he's not going to be here, and this article's out, he can't be here, let him go to Detroit. Let him go somewhere. I don't care.
But wasn't Detroit one of his no trade lists?
We don't know definitively, but Detroit would probably be a place if he had to pick some that he could, it would be that he would be fine with. Because he played there. And he lived there, right?
Got it.
So now here we are, fast forward 9 days later, because this is being taped on July 10th, and Jacob Trouba is still a Ranger. And what has happened in the last 8 days is awful because everybody, I mean, just go on our Instagram page. You don't need me to tell you this. Everybody now wants Jacob Trouba off the team, hates him. The guy's refusing to get traded. What do you mean he's not getting traded? He's getting paid $8 million a year, but he wants to stay because his wife, Kelly, is in the last year of her residency in whatever, I'm not sure what area of medicine she's in specifically, but she's in her last year of studies here. So he doesn't want to leave her. He doesn't want to leave his newborn. And now everybody hates Jacob Trouba.
I mean, you can use your money to get a private jet.
You can. But if I can say something about it, which is important.
Yes.
Jacob Trouba is the captain of the Rangers. And if he is out there skating on October 12th, when the Rangers have their home opener versus the Utah Hockey Club, and I don't know if that's their official name, but that's what they're still being called. But if Jacob Trouba is out there on October 12th and he's skating out when they do the lineup introductions, you know what's going to happen? The Ranger fans are going to get booed him. The Ranger fans are going to boo him because I've already seen people say this, and they're going to boo him. And this is a disaster from a public relations point of view or a team point of view, whatever you want to use, because you're going to be booing your own captain every single night. How can you allow this man to play here now? You can't. I don't care. If I'm Chris Drury, I don't care what I got to do to get rid of you. Now I really need to get rid of you because that would be an absolute disaster. Now I could see I got a joke for you. I thought of this last night. It's the home opener. They're about to call Jacob. So they've already announced everyone else because they always do the captain last. And Jacob Trouba is about to come out and skate out, right? And, Joe Tolleson, who's been on with us, the public address announcer, is getting ready to say Jacob Trouba. And Jacob Trouba skates out to a sea of boos. Like, it is awful. Now, the game is on MSG Network. And Sam Rosen says to Joe Micheletti, "No, Joe, those aren't boos. They're trues."
I was about to say that. Like Victor Cruz.
Yeah, but they will be boos. Chris Drury has to now find a way to get Jacob Trouba. You can off the roster. You cannot, under any circumstance, have a situation where you are skating your captain onto your home ice on a preseason game, a home opener, or any of the other 40 games after the home opener at home, and that where your captain is getting booed.
It'll definitely bleed over the preseason games. Like it'll you know what I mean? Like it's not just gonna be one and done. You'll get a couple regular season games booed.
I mean, I would think right now, if I am Chris Drury, and I would hope he would know this, if that is going to be the fallout, if he is not traded, then you need to find a way to trade him.
It's not good for the locker room either.
It's not good for, well, that's a great point, because it was also brought up that looking around the league, players now are saying to themselves, do I want to go play in New York? Look what they just did to Barclay Goodrow. Look what they're in the process of doing to Jacob Trouba. I don't know that I want to go play there. Now, I beg to differ, and this is not a homer take, but I beg to differ on that, and here's why. I beg to differ in the sense that I think New York is always going to be a marquee place to play.
Mhm.
It's Madison Square Garden. It's an original six franchise. If you have a chance to win in New York, it's a chance that would be different than winning. And then again, I don't mean this disrespectful in Nashville or Dallas or whatever. I still think there's a lot of appeal to playing in New York,
Mhm.
but it is something that, yes, and the team cannot like this at all. I mean, the team cannot be looking at this situation and say to themselves, wow, I feel comfortable in my own personal contract situation here,
Yeah.
and not have them do a second take.
Yeah, it's weird. You have like a guy who like is known by the management that they don't want him in the locker room, and you got this guy who you don't know how long he's going to be here. It just I don't think brings the team together.
Yep. So like now, well, let's pull up Chris's question on YouTube.
Which one?
The bottom, which is, how is it not good for the locker room? Chris, I would answer that with a question, and I know this is probably not the answer you want, but how is it good for the locker room?
Yeah.
You're watching your captain of the team that you play for getting thrown in the media. Now, again, maybe Larry Brooks's article isn't right. That's a possibility, which would be really frustrating if that's true and set this whole thing off with a false article. But how is it good when each player has their own individual contract, as I'm sure it's coming in their heads to say, look, how do I know this isn't going to be me? Like, I'll take a random player, and Chris will get on me for the player I'm going to use in this example. I'm going to use Jimmy VC, okay? Jimmy VC, let's say he has 2 years left on his deal. Now, and I don't know that. I don't know Jimmy VC's contract. But let's say Jimmy VC has a bad year, okay? Normally, in his mind, at the end of this season, he comes into it and he says, you know what, I've got 1 year left on my deal. I've got 1 year left to prove myself at the term I have with the Rangers. He's not going to know that now when he looks at what's happening with the Rangers and Chris Drury. Again, I don't mind, and I said this a couple weeks ago, I don't mind the fact that Chris Drury is doing whatever he's got to do, like with Barclay Goodrow, to get a winning team on the ice. I get that. Yeah. I like that. I like that. I even said that. But now you're in a situation where the way that this got out with Trouba, you cannot have a situation where your player is getting booed by his home fans and he's your captain. I can't even think of a situation in any sports where that's happened.
Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult situation, but if you right, like there's been talk that he's not doing a good job leading the team, that someone else should be captain and step up, right? That's been talk. So like if you're trying to fix your team and he refuses to quote unquote leave or be traded or whatever, you know, it's like, come on, man, like we're trying to be better.
So that's
how you get the crowd against them.
So I'm not going to mention names here.
Yeah.
But there's another Ranger podcast that I've spoken with or I've been on in recent days.
Yeah.
And people were saying that the problem is that people are blaming Trouba. That the Rangers lost to Trouba. The Rangers lost to Florida because of Jacob Trouba. That is completely inaccurate. that makes no sense. Now, did Jacob Trouba have a really bad series? Yes. Did he end up, I believe, leading the league in minor penalties? Yes. Did he end up playing with a half-broken ankle that came out later on? Yes. I give the guy a little bit of a pass.
Okay.
The problem to me is not – yeah, they are. Or big elbows. The problem to me is not that I don't want Jacob Trouba on the ice, okay? Because he can be helpful. The problem is that I don't want Jacob Trouba on my team when he's taking up $8 million a year of the salary cap. That's where there's a problem. Yeah. If he was on a lesser contract, I don't. Then I'm not even sure this is a discussion. And people seem to not understand that. Like when you get into they lost because of Jacob Trouba. That's the dumbest thing ever. They lost because their offensive players couldn't even do anything.
So the two comments that I like to ask you, because Chris was talking about like how does this affect the locker room. There's another one, like the fans. Do the players don't feel the same way as the fans? Like, do you feel like he is a good leader and the locker room does want him on the team?
I don't think that. I don't think players echo the exact same feelings as fans. I would agree with that, but I don't think it's a total opposite. Like, I think they're cognizant of stuff. And if you're cognizant of it, which you are, then how is it not? I mean, how do you like that?
So then piggybacking off of this, that with Brian's comment, all this could have been avoided if Kreider stepped up and was a leader. So, like, are we missing leadership on the Rangers squad? Do we need better leadership?
I don't know. I'm not big on the Chris Kreider leadership train. I'm just not. He's too streaky of a player for me to be a captain. But Jacob Trouba is not the reason they lost to Florida. We'll pull up Johnny Lazarus because he's spot on again. And that is the first one. Right there. Big reason they lost to Florida is because the D couldn't get the puck out. That's it. When you watch this game, like game 3, go to game 3 in Florida that Sunday afternoon, the third period. Rangers go in with a 2-goal lead, and they end up winning in overtime after surrendering 2 goals in the third, and they almost lost in the last minute on a point-blank shot. Rangers couldn't get the puck out. Florida was all over them. That is why they lost that series. Yeah. That is absolutely 100% why they lost the series. Let's pull up Johnny's other comment. Trouba isn't to blame for the series loss, but anyway, the Rangers could definitely strengthen their blue line with a better puck-moving defenseman. Yeah, Johnny's right. And Johnny, if you're still there and you want to put in the comments what you think they're going to do with Trouba, I mean, I don't think you can have a situation now where you're bringing back a player where he's going to possibly, highly likely get booed by his own home fans and he's your captain. I cannot. That is not an acceptable situation.
I could send Johnny a link too if he wants to join us.
If he wants to.
You want to join us, Johnny?
You can put it. Oh, Johnny's saying he's staying. And so
so you're saying the article's false?
Well,
I mean, people were talking about it before the article came out. Like, maybe we should move on from Trouba. So, like, you just think this guy's just trying to ruffle some feathers, get some press?
No. My worry with him staying, Johnny, is that the fans are going to boo him, and I think that that would be a PR nightmare. That would be a nightmare of many levels. Johnny seems to think he's confident that he'll be a Ranger next season, and then next summer he thinks he will be dealt. Look, if Jacob Trouba, and you would think this would happen, right? The Rangers' first game, because the schedule came out, is 3 months from yesterday. They open on October 9th in Pittsburgh. He has 3 months to rehab his ankle, right? If the Rangers, the Jacob Trouba of 5 years ago, and he's healthy, can he find ways to be effective? Sure, he can. I mean, the Rangers also, we've said this for years, this franchise has always lacked physicality. Jacob Trouba would be one of your players that would be physical. So you keeping him allows you to obviously keep some physicality that you're probably already lacking. So Johnny seems to think he's staying. So he doesn't seem to think Larry's report was inaccurate. It just was more complicated. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. To me, if it's going to be a situation like what you read on social media, and again, social media is not always right. Let's be real here. But if you believe that fans are going to boo him every night, that is a problem. That is a major problem.
Well, people were not happy after that series.
Yeah. And Johnny, we'll have Johnny on maybe next week or the week after. I saw his comment that we'll have to hop on with us another day this summer. Enjoy Wimbledon, Johnny. It's the off season, man. You've earned it with how hard you work. We'll have you on in the next couple episodes. So yeah, I mean, that's got to address. Now, the one thing with free agency as well, the other thing, and this is it's amazing that I am still saying this, but I don't know how else not to say it, is they still have not addressed the top line right wing. So if it's not going to happen
for the third
year, if it's not going to happen through free agency, which is definitely not, because there's not a player that's out there as of today on July 10th that you would say, well, let's go out and sign him. He'll play alongside Kreider and Zibanejad. He's not. It has to be through trades. Now, Chris Drury is, I think I'd be pretty confident in saying, between now and training camp, he will definitely be making some moves. Whether that moves garners a top line right wing coming back, that we will see. But he definitely has moves to make here. The question to me is, does he have enough assets to bring back someone to play on that wing? The asset that would come to mind is Capo Caco, but you need way more than Capo Caco to get a top line right wing. If I was Chris Drury, let's say you had a top line right wing that I wanted, and I was thinking of what you're going to ask me for in return. I would say and if Chris is watching, he knows this stuff better than me, but it would be Caco, probably It would be
Anything
either.
you
It
give
would be
away
one
is
of
gonna
them.
be something you're not going to want to give away.
Right.
Caco's stock is not really that high right now.
Kako stack's not high, so you have to look
You're
at
going to
people
have
like
to give away something.
Berard, these young prospects, Sikora, Offman. They're not trading Gabe Perreault. I won't even go down that road. I'm not even entertaining that. So, yeah.
You're giving away something that you don't want to give away.
Yeah. Well, Chris wants to give away Gabe Perreault, and as you could see in the comments, and that's not on the table to me. I don't look. I think if Offman, I think if the deal is there, and if I felt comfortable that what I was getting in return could play on that top line, then I would deal Offman. I'm not dealing Perreault. And I do not agree with Chris that the only reason they can get a top line back, they have to include Gabe Perreault in the deal like they have no one else. I don't think so. So
interesting.
We shall see.
So like, and this can go out to the MYPB Nation as well if they want to put it in the comments. What is the ideal if you can get one player, one move? What would you like to see this summer?
What
within reason? I mean, you like abiding by the salary caps and like what we have to trade and whatever. Like, is there an obvious like we should be doing this, we should be doing that? Is there anything that you guys want to see? What's like, what would make you happy? Because you know, like there's times where people are very happy and we got what we wanted, we didn't get what we wanted. What would make you happy?
If it's me,
yes.
The thing that they need to do somehow is get someone to play with Zibanejad and Kreider. That should
need a right wing.
That should be that. Now Zegras is being talked about on Instagram. I like Trevor Zegras, and if Johnny Lazarus is still here, I don't know if he is. If he wants to say something in the chat, because he may know Trevor Zegras because he was a Hockey East guy like Johnny was. Trevor Zegras to me, and he played at BU, so I automatically like him.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Zegras, I think, is a great fit to play there. But if I'm Pat Verbeek, who's the general manager in Anaheim, who's the ones responsible to trading Trevor Zegras, I'm not sure what I'm asking for from the Rangers. I'm not.
Now, do they want to move on from Trevor?
If it were me, I would tell you no. But I've also read things that Pat Verbeek does not see eye to eye with Trevor Zegras, and the coach isn't a big fan. But they're not idiots out there in Anaheim, and they know that Trevor Zegras has a lot of value. So if we're going to give him away, we're going to give him away and try and match that volume in return.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, and so people are writing on the Instagram chat. Really, it's pretty consistent to answer the question that you said, which is, right wing one.
Trouba for Zegras. There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah. So a couple comments. Twin mom journey. I've said it since the trade from Winnipeg that his salary was insane, and this wouldn't be an issue if his salary was like Goody. That's very true. Now, I had said years ago, and I liked the Trouba deal, but I had said, and I wasn't groundbreaking news. I wasn't saying it's something that other people didn't know, which was that contract on the back end was going to kill the Rangers, and that's exactly where we are, and it's exactly what we're seeing. Why don't we pull up Travel Master's comment? I like us running it back, similar to what the Panthers did last season at the trade deadline. Now, that's a really good point, and I said this last week as well. The Rangers, this roster, and I said before, you're not looking to make a major move like adding Artemi Panarin. You're not looking to redo. Chris Drury's not sitting here trying to blow up the roster. He's trying to make small tweaks and amends. Now, you may not like the tweaks and amends he made, but running it back, you were 2 wins away from going to play for the Stanley Cup, and you would have had a chance to beat Edmonton. Would you have beat them? I have no idea. You would have had a chance. You could have lost also, of course, but you weren't that far away. You're not looking to do that. John, we'll put up John's comment. Thoughts on rumors swirling around Zegras. Have to think Anaheim is on a Trouba no trade list. Yeah. So I'll be ready to discuss Zegras, but I'll take the second up. If I'm Jacob Trouba, I don't want to go to Anaheim, right? If I'm trying to stay closer to my wife, that's 3,000 miles away, and the team is not good. I wouldn't. There's no chance that Jacob Trouba would accept a trade to Anaheim. I cannot see that being the thing at all. Take some Instagram comments. Sitting in the blue 408. They blew their chance already. They had a first-round pick, which was number 30, which did them absolutely no good. Package that pick with Kako. Maybe they could have done something. Yeah. So to me, though, you would have had to have gotten more back. Then you would have had to put more in. It would not have been a number 30 and a Kako to get someone to play at that level. And Twin Mom Journey, absolutely right on Instagram. We don't need a rebuild. We needed some oil for the squeaky wheels. And that could be like a play on words with Wheeler. Squeaky wheels. Squeaky wheels. I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we'll see. I mean, look, the schedule came out. They will open October 9th in Pittsburgh, home opener 3 nights later, at home versus Utah, and then they are home on Columbus Day against Detroit, and then they head out on a little bit of a road trip. To me, the schedule release, I'm weird, and I know I am in the vast minority of people here. I love the schedule release. Like, to me, it makes you feel like it's coming. Couple interesting things. The Rangers play the Devils on December 23rd. That's a Monday at 1 p.m. on a Monday. Now, schools are off, right? But I would think the markets are open and like businesses are open.
On what day?
On a Monday. It's December 23rd.
December 23rd. Yeah.
That was weird to me. I may go to they're in Philadelphia for the second straight year, the Friday, the day after Thanksgiving in the afternoon. And if you remember, I went there last year. My daughter thinks it's the coolest thing to see how Philadelphia fans behave themselves. So we might be doing that again. They'll end up in D.C. They're in D.C. We'll probably end up there on a Saturday in January, provided the kids don't have a bunch of activities that day. So definitely some road games. They're in Boston on a Saturday in February. Like they're in Buffalo. Not that I'd recommend Buffalo. I know you'd live there. Well, in February it's not great.
Yeah, they got the lake effect, snows every day. But if you're into that,
they're there on a Saturday afternoon. There are some road games like of drivable distance on the schedule this year. I think they're in Ottawa and then an afternoon game. There's definitely some things you could do here. If you wanted to hit the road.
I will say I'm kind of impressed. You do go to a good amount of road games.
I do.
Yeah, like a true loyal fan would. Real quick, on Instagram, Mr. Gretzky says, why not Jacob go to the Devils or the Islanders?
I would think so. Someone had asked that last week. That's a good question, right? If you want to stay near your wife and stay in the area, I don't think the Devils or the Islanders are going to do the Rangers any favors here. And I think if I was Tom Fitzgerald, the general manager of the Devils, I mean, he's aware of the situation. I think if he gets a call from Chris Drury and Chris Drury says, look, I'm trying to get rid of Jacob Trouba. He will go to the Devils. He can stay near his wife. I'm holding a king's ransom in return. I would, right, from a bargaining power.
What about like what is the value of Trouba? Can you get a second or third line right wing from the Devils in like 1-for-1?
No, for Jacob Trouba, no, especially not at that salary. If the Rangers weren't retaining any of it, no.
How about a third or fourth line right wing?
Yeah, probably, but that's not really what they need, right? You're trying to fill if you're not going to do a massive overhaul and you're trying to fill in what you need. What you need is a wing for Zibanejad and Kreider. You're
giving the guy a shot. He might necessarily not make the top 6 for the Devils, but might be able to break, might be able to step up.
Yeah. We shall see. There'll be plenty of moves left for them to make. So, on the one other thing I want to mention on the free agency, and our executive producer B-Rock will like this. The Devils got a lot better. Like when you look around the division, the Devils now are favored to win the Metropolitan Division next year. Not a huge favorite. And again, like you, I'm sorry, someone asked the question for the second time. I didn't answer it. I'm going to answer it. What about Trouba to Buffalo for Greenway, which would be a complete salary dump? I wouldn't mind it. I like Jordan Greenway. He's actually also a Boston University player. I'd be fine with it. If I'm Jacob Trouba, though, I'm not sure that's a team I would accept to go to Buffalo. And I like if I was Buffalo in that situation, if it was Trouba to Greenway, my thought would be if I was the general manager, who I think is Kevin Adams up there, I would be asking the Rangers to retain a lot of that salary to make that work. And that's not what Chris Drury wants. Chris Drury's trying to get rid of the salary. So I don't know, but I like the idea. I'd be fine with it. I don't know if it would be feasible though or realistic.
From his point of view, from Trouba's point of view, like what would be the teams that he would want to go to?
We don't know. We don't know what's on his list. That doesn't be made public. You would think if he had to put someone, I would think the Devils and the Islanders would be on it, right? Maybe Boston, DC. Like he's trying to stay close to his wife. And I get people are enraged by it, but like it's in his contract. His wife is a year away from being a doctor. He's got a 9-month-old kid. Can you fault the guy for wanting to stay close to his family? I can't. I mean, I don't like carrying his salary, but I understand his point of view. If I step back, I understand his point of view. So,
sure.
So, yeah, the Devils got a lot better. The issue with the Devils, though, I would be looking at is their goaltending. Obviously, they got Markstrom, but he's a little older, so we'll see. And championships are not won in the offseason, so we shall see. But the Devils will be vastly improved. And another interesting signing of local note and Ranger note, Anthony Duclair, who played for the Rangers years ago, signed a 4-year deal with the Islanders. And that's another example of a contract. Like when you look at players getting what they're paid and then paying similar players, similar things. No, I wouldn't be wanting to do that with Anthony Duclair. Not at all. That is it for us today. Let me ask an open-ended question for those people watching live, because this is going to be a thing in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. We have some programming decisions that we need to make at Undefeated Media. Yes. At some point, probably later in July, early August, there'll be a sit down with the big wigs of Undefeated Media in this building. Yeah. And we start season 5 in September, right? And last year, we have always done this. This will be on Instagram. But if you're out here and you want to give me your comments, I certainly would like to hear it. We have always, in the fall months, done maybe 30 minutes of hockey and 10 minutes of NFL. We've done weekly picks as well for NFL. We've always done that since day one. Yeah. The feedback we have gotten,
because it's easy before you get to pros and cons, because it's easy. It's an easy game to bet on. It's hard to bet on hockey.
Yes, but it's also easy content, Phil. Right? Let me be fair.
We're not just trying to put out we're not just trying to half-ass content. It's entertain. We're we're having fun betting on games.
Yes. Yeah. So my question for you is this: do we, in the fall, still deal with this? Are we still doing football, or do you really want 100% hockey? I don't have a right or wrong answer. I've seen people go both ways, but I want to do what's in the majority. Now, I can tell you we won't do baseball.
I was going to say, we have our baseball fans waiting for us to.
We will not do baseball. We will definitely not do baseball.
Inside joke.
But that is one thing for sure for us to look at.
Yes. So, I mean, those are the basic questions. Like, do you want to spend some time on other sports here and there, NFL? And then, one thing to our roots, we're not at the meeting live here, but one thing that was in our roots at the beginning was that we were going to talk about some business aspects and spotlighting businesses. Maybe we can spotlight some Ranger fan-owned businesses.
We can do that, like Lido's,
Lido,
like Lido's and Hackensack. Yep. So Instagram comment, do both good entertainment and fun perspectives. Thank you, Bill. We're gonna obviously put this question out there for people. And they see, here's the other. I'm all about hockey. Don't get me wrong. I like football too, but hockey is life. Either way, I'll keep listening. Thank you. I need help with my Survivor picks. Survivor is not my thing. Another comment. Personally, I'm a very casual NFL fan. Hockey definitely number one. I know a lot of others are both or the other. I like the idea of highlighting businesses more. Yeah. So see, this is why we ask the questions, because your feedback is exactly what we need. So thank you guys for answering that. It's funny. The name Mind Your Pucking Business was created in 2020 because the thought was it was going to be a mix of hockey and small businesses. Yeah. Now, what we could do is look from a sponsorship point of view, because there have been a couple, and we need to talk about this off the air. There have been a couple other people that have approached us about sponsorship. So do we highlight those businesses? Of course, as part of the sponsorship is one way to do it. I mean, there's a couple different ways to look at this, but it'll be a question in the next couple of weeks. That is it for us today. We thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back on next week. We are on next week. I'm not sure what day. We'll figure that out. Probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I would guess.
We'll figure it out later.
We'll figure it out. But we're on next week. We'll either get Johnny Lazarus on with us. We'll have a guest next week. I have a couple of different people to talk about the off season and also going forward for the Rangers. We thank the Bamboozle Project as always for their sponsorship. Go check them out, www.thebamboozleproject.com. Use promo code MYPB. Save yourself 20% off your total order. There are some summer stuff now. I know we promote the
flip-flops, bathing suits, bikinis.
Yeah, there's a water bottle. I know we promote the hats, which is my favorite thing, but it's definitely not hot weather. But the hot weather will be back. Yeah. So remember, you live where we live, you're going to need the hat eventually.
Maybe I could talk to the big wigs at Bamboozle and we could do a special winter hat summer sale. You get your hat now, A little
That would be
cheaper.
good. That would be good. I think we're gonna. The other thing I was thinking last week, I think we will give away some hats as well before the start of the season. We'll do like we'll get 10 hats and we'll give them away in some form of contest here at MYPB. We'll give a lot. So,
and one last, if I can add, if you have a friend or family member that has a business and is a Ranger fan, have them DM us at Mind Your Parking Business.
and speaking of DM, there is a comment from Twin Mom. Who I know is going through chemo right now and is asking if we could totally help her out with a hat because she's a chemo warrior. Send me, DM us, please, and we will get you a hat sent out to you. I'll get one out to you this week. All right. So that is it for us. We appreciate it. There is not an MYPB flannel yet up there. Thank you for that comment. Definitely
I'm telling you. It was me. I said, let's make a flannel.
Someone also last week, another listener, I won't mention his name, mentioned that when I was in the DR where the flannel was. Like when I posted the free agency thing, like the flannel did not make it. The flannel has not been worn since a series advancing night.
You put a flannel on DR, you might like wrap it around your waist, but you're not wearing a flannel in the middle of DR heat.
No, definitely not. Well, enjoy the rest of your week. We will talk to you next week and stay cool out there.